Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today's video is going to be all about my first year experience in the dental hygiene program. If you don't know anything about me, I am in the dental hygiene program. I go to Ferris State University in Michigan, and I just finished my first year in the program, and I have one more year left of college, one more year left in the program. I'm so excited, cannot wait to be done. I'm saying that now, but then I'm not gonna want to get a real job. But I think I talked about this in my last video. I asked you if you wanted to see this video, and quite a few people said they did. And I also know there are some people who follow me solely for dental hygiene, so I just thought I would talk about it and inform some people on how my experience went, what you need to prepare for. I do know a lot of my following is not interested in this type of content, so if you are not interested, obviously that's okay. You don't have to watch this video, and my feelings will not be hurt. I understand that. But yeah, thank you for clicking on this video. Let's go ahead and get started. What I'm gonna do is I'm basically just gonna tell you like my experience from coming here to Ferris, and then like leading up all the way, like kind of like a storyline of how everything went for me. And then at the end I will be answering some questions, because on my Instagram I asked you guys if you had any questions. I also asked on YouTube. I'm going to be answering those at the end. So if you asked a question, be sure to stick till the end so you can hear my answer. But yeah, I did make a whole list of things and the order that I wanted to talk about things on my iPad, so I'm gonna be referencing this as we go. So this is gonna be a really long video, I already know, so make sure to grab a snack or just get cozy, because we're gonna be talking for a while. So starting off, I want to talk about my experience prior to getting into the program, and just like what I went through before applying. So in high school, I did like online college classes through one of the community colleges that offered it at my high school. I don't remember exactly the classes that I took, but I just took them to get it out of the way and make it a lot easier for when I did come to college, so I wouldn't have to take those. So I came into college with like 12 credits or something like that. Then freshman year, I finished up those prerequisites, and that was just like basic English. I think I tested out of math, Spanish, things like that. After my freshman year, I pretty much had all of the requirements that I needed to get into the program. So I ended up applying to the dental hygiene program, and they always say you never get in your first year unless you're really lucky, and that was true for me. I did not get in my first year, although I had all of the requirements I needed, but most of the time it does take 2 times to apply until you actually get in. So I already knew I wasn't going to get in, but I still wanted to apply to get my name on the list. Then going into my sophomore year, I took all of my bachelor's of science classes. What did I take? I took marketing, Spanish, but they were for my bachelor's, so I wouldn't have to do that or be in college for 5 years. I could just get that out of the way. So then in the spring of my sophomore year, I reapplied for the program, and I found out in March that I ended up getting in, and this was like super exciting for me because I wouldn't, like, everything was kind of flowing as it should, and I was going to graduate in 4 years. So I learned that I got accepted in March. I think maybe in like May-ish they had a orientation with all of the advisors as well as some of the students that were already in the program. They pretty much told us everything that we need to buy. It's very expensive to be in the dental hygiene program, just saying, because it's literally all out of pocket pay, and you can't, at least I couldn't use scholarships for my instruments or supplies or anything like that. So just know, if you want to get into if you want to do dental hygiene, it is expensive. Not even the class, like the classes are obviously expensive, but that's completely separate from all of the supplies that you need to get. But we had a Zoom session with the advisors and professors, and they told us what to prepare for, what you need to buy, what kind of shoes, what color scrubs. We could wear black scrubs, gray scrubs, and blue scrubs. You have to wear long socks. We had to wear a scrub cap. Couldn't have any nails, no earrings, and no Apple Watch. And then they also, after the meeting, they sent out everything that we had to buy, where to buy it. You also do need to get your vaccines, make sure they're all up to date, as well as getting a TB test. We have to get the 2-step TB test and make sure that's all clear to be able to go into the program. As for materials, you have to buy literally everything. So I mean, if you're going into the program, they're gonna tell you all of this. Obviously everything that you use in clinic, you have to purchase it, and it will all come to your house. They did provide us with a tackle box, which was really nice because I was kind of nervous that they weren't going to. You have to get a key card. So yes, you buy all of this stuff, and on the first day of clinic, what we did was we each had our own tote box to put everything in. You take it all into clinic and you leave it all there, so throughout the year you're all sharing that stuff and you never have to repurchase it. It's just all there for you to use. So that's how it went before clinic. And I just want to say to anyone that's going into the program, if you are nervous because you've never experienced anything like this before, do not be like, you can be nervous, but it's gonna be okay. Like, I had never shadowed in an office, I had never had a job as a dental assistant or anything like that, and really knew absolutely nothing coming into this, and it turned out just fine. Like, they are there to help you. They understand that you are literally coming from nothing, no knowledge. Some people have done assisting before, I'm sure you will find that, but for the most part, like, literally everyone knows absolutely nothing. They don't know what to expect, and that is okay. The professors are there to help you, or they should be anyways. All of our professors were like very helpful and kind and just very welcoming to us, and that was a super good feeling because, like I said, I was super nervous. I didn't know anything, and it was nice to know that if you needed help with something or were confused about something, they were always there to help you and answer your question. As well as, like, if you don't know anyone that's going into the program, that was also me. I knew names of people, but I had never really like talked to them before or hung out with them before. You will learn very quickly that everyone will become your friend and you will learn to know everyone. That's just how it is. You are in the same class with everyone every single day. Everyone's face is familiar to you. Even if you're not like super close with them, you're gonna know who they are. And I had 40 students in my program, and yeah, I literally learned them all like super fast. So yeah, that was how like the first day went. We brought in all of our stuff and met our professor. So now I'm gonna be talking about like what the first semester was like and what we covered, what we learned, how clinic went, and everything like that. I didn't know when we were gonna start actually learning instruments. Like I said, I didn't even know like what an instrument was. I didn't even know how to grab it. Absolutely nothing. And on our second day of clinic, we already started working on each other. I think the first few things we learned was like positioning of your chair, of your light, of the patient's chair, where you need to be if you're working on certain areas of the mouth. We learned obviously the areas of the mouth as well. But yeah, the second day we already started working, like we had each other in the chair. So like each person was assigned a partner, and then each day you would work on that partner or they would work on you. Our clinic was, I think it was like 8 to 11. During that time, we would say I would be working on my partner for an hour and a half, and then they would be working on you for an hour and a half, and you would just kind of switch on and off like that. And learning instruments and positioning, all of the instruments that we learned in the first semester were obviously the mirror, probe, shepherd's hook, explorer, universal curette, anterior sickle, and posterior sickle. And honestly, that probably all just sounds like jibber jabber to you if you have no experience, but I mean, I didn't know anything either, and I'm very knowledgeable about it. But yeah, that's everything that we learned the first semester, and it was all just one cassette. As for the environment, so we split up our class. Sorry, I'm talking with my hands a lot, but that's just how I talk. I can't help it. So we had 40 students in my class, and each clinic we had 20, so it was like half and half. So I was morning clinic, so I was 8 to 11, and then the other half was I think 12 to 3 or something like that. I don't exactly know the time. There was 20 people in a clinic, and then we had sections A, B, C, and D, and there was 5 people in each section. We each had our own chair, our own cabinets. It was really nice because although it seems like a big class, I guess, compared to other programs, there was one professor for 5 people, and I know that can seem kind of like a lot, but it was honestly perfect for us. They would just go around making sure everyone was working fine, and if they needed any help, they were always there to answer questions. And yeah, I thought it worked really well for us, and it was just a good system that they had going. And then they obviously had like the clinic lead, which she was always there to, again, help and assist. Sorry, I have mosquito bites all over my legs and they itch so bad. We all had our own instruments, so we got our own number. You learn how to sterilize everything and how to wrap it up. Then we had labs separate from clinic, so our labs were I think like 2 hours each. We had radiography labs, so we learned how to take x-rays. You learn traditional film, sensor, and Foster plates. Again, that probably means nothing to anyone who is not familiar with the terms, but you learn all kinds of different x-rays, and we practice on Dexter is what we called him, and it was just like a mannequin that you can take endless amount of x-rays on, because obviously you can only take so many on a real person. Another thing that we received was a typodont, and again, you probably don't know what this is, but it's just like a little mouth. I'll put a picture in here. We also used this and like hooked it up to the chair and learned how to use instruments, how to take off calculus, lateral pressure. Yeah, it was a really good tool because you could also take it home and they would tell you to practice your instruments. They give you lots of tools to be able to learn. It's not like you're just learning in clinic when you're there. They want you to like utilize your resources and make sure that you're constantly practicing and learning how to use those instruments, how to, you know, move your hand or use your wrist, not your finger pulling. So yeah, that was the clinic aspect of the first semester. So now I'm going to be talking mainly about classes. I don't remember exactly what my schedule was like. I probably could pull it up, but I don't really want to. I think we had like 5 classes and then also the labs on top of that, but each lab was connected to a class. So like radiography, we would learn in lecture and then we would apply that into our lab, obviously, which is normal for most labs. All 40 students were in the classroom with us. It wasn't split up like it would be in clinic. We were all in the same classroom, so that's how you really learn like people's names and you socialize. But the labs only had 10 people each, so it was like all together during lecture, and then labs and clinic were split up, if that makes sense. So yeah, talking about classes, so our lectures were no more than 2 hours long, and 2 hours is really pushing it. Normally it was like an hour or an hour and 15, and it was very manageable. It was, I mean, for me anyways, I did not think it was bad at all. As for workload, it can definitely feel heavy at first. I thought first semester was way easier than second semester, but I mean, if you're just going into the program, it seems like a lot, and it can feel unmanageable, but it definitely is manageable if you use your time wisely. First semester, I did not have a job, but I did play volleyball, and I mean, it didn't take up a ton of my time, but it did take up 2 nights a week and some weekends for tournaments. You have time to do other things. Like, it's not like it's taking up your whole life. In my opinion, I'm sure other people will say differently. Like, it's hard, but I feel like it's not terrible. I don't want to make it seem like it's so easy, because it's definitely not, but it's harder than like normal classes, I will say that, but I don't know how to explain it. Another thing I want to say is to budget for books. Books are very expensive and you need new ones each semester, like normal. Something that was really nice for me was that I was able to buy all of my books off of someone that had just graduated. So I bought mine like sophomore year, right before I got into the program, and she was selling them all for like $300, which was such an amazing price. Like, if you can find someone like that, definitely do it. They might not have all the books that you need, but if you just need to buy like one book for $50 or whatever, that's better than having to buy every single book for $50. And there was probably 12 that she gave me, so just the price is so much better to buy them all, and I'm definitely going to sell them when I'm done. So take advantage of it if there is an opportunity for you to buy them from someone, or ask someone, hey, are you selling your books, that you know is like about to graduate. I did do a whole video on how I study, if you guys want to watch that. I think it's up here, I don't know. So if you are interested in how I studied, go watch that video, because I did do like a lot of helpful tips in there. And basically, I just reread all of my notes, reread all of those. I definitely read through the book. My professor took stuff straight out of the book, so that's really helpful. Yeah, I didn't really do like Quizlet or like flashcards or anything like that, only if it was really needed. It's hard to tell people how to study because everyone has their own way of doing it, but just find something that works for you. That is it for the first semester. Now moving on to the second semester. So the second semester was when we actually started working on real patients that came into the clinic. And so our requirement for first year was to have 8 patients, and you had to have x-rays, so you had to have a full mouth, vertical bite wings, and then a child bite wing, which was not required for that semester, but it is required while you're there in the program, so I just got it done early. Finding patients is not easy. I think everyone can attest to that. It's very hard, especially I'm from an hour away, so having people come to my school for a 3-hour appointment, possibly 2 days needed for that appointment, it is not easy. And luckily during the end I was able to get people done in one appointment, and it just made it so much easier. But then you also have this open clinic because you thought they were going to fill it, and now you have to find another patient. So it just is a lot, and try to prepare if you are able to. Try to find patients way ahead of time. Even if you don't need them yet, just be like, hey, I'm gonna need patients like next semester, would you be willing to do this for me? And if you tell people that like this is what you need for a grade, they're more willing to come in. And you want people with like bad teeth. As weird as that sounds, you want people that haven't got their teeth cleaned in a long time, because you need to get certain requirements like level 2-3 calculus or posterior scaling. So if people are like, well, I haven't been to the dentist in a long time, or just embarrassed, be like, I don't care, I need you to come in, please. And that was a big struggle for me. I could not find people that hadn't been to the dentist in a long time. Then at that point you start working on each other's patients. Yeah, well, I'll talk about that a little bit later, but you pretty much take everything that you have learned in the first semester working on each other, and you apply that into patient treatment. So you have to go through the whole sequence of everything, all of the oral examinations and patient ed and medical history. And I will say medical history is something that I was so terrified about, because when you're looking over their medical history, if they have had history of heart problems or stroke or anything like that, there are so many precautions that you need to take and just be on the alert. You have to go through all of the medications that they list, and you have to write all the dental implications for it. So that part is really stressful, and it is one thing that I was like super nervous about. But once you do it for a while, you start to learn that it's not as bad as it seems, and a lot of people don't have super severe medications unless they're like in the older ages. Luckily I didn't run into that as badly, which I'm sure I will a lot more this semester because we take more people from the community. That is one thing to think about. There's a lot of paperwork and things you have to do with the file, which again, it becomes so much easier once you have done it a few times. I don't want to make it sound like it's terrible and it's really hard, because it's definitely not. It's just, it seems very overwhelming in the beginning and stressful, but you'll get the hang of it. We also learned a second cassette. I don't remember all of the names of the ones that we used because I didn't use it that often, but we learned the Barnhart, Gracie, 1-2, offset, and tiersicle, just to name a few. I don't remember all of them. I have my instruments, I could show you them. Yeah, you learn the patient care sequence. Like I said, the second semester we had 8 classes altogether, so we had 2 labs, clinic, and then what would that be, 5 classes. So we had dental materials, which was super fun. I love dental materials. That was where we learned how to do sealants. We learned how to mix, you know, temporary material. We learned impressions. We made our own whitening trays, which was super cool, and so many things. Like, dental materials was so fun. I loved it. One of my favorite classes so far. Yeah, it was definitely a lot more work heavy, and it was harder than the first semester for sure, but again, it's very manageable if you use your time wisely. Second semester I actually played volleyball and had a job, so I mean, it's not impossible to have a job. I know a lot of people would not agree with that, but also one change that we ended up having between the first and second semester was that our clinic lead actually left for a different job. So she was gone, and she was the one who literally like led our whole clinic and was the instructor for everything. So we had a completely different one, and she had been there for a while. She was just like in a different position. She had never taught first years before. So I think she was definitely a little bit more harsh on us. In the end, you know, we ended up getting used to her, and she was really great. And then the last thing I wanted to say was that the class that was probably the hardest was oral science, and that is, so the first semester we learned like all of the skull, just like the tooth structure, and it was hard but not that hard. And then the second semester we had it was like oral science B, so it was like the second string onto it, I guess you could say, and we learned all the arteries, veins, blood vessels, muscles. What else did we learn? I know there's more, I can't remember, but it was definitely a lot harder and very, very stressful. And yeah, so if you have oral science, just prepare a lot and study a lot because it's very difficult, but not impossible. For second semester, I had to have 8 patients. I think I ended up with like 12. So, but that was because a lot of my patients didn't end up taking up 2 appointments because, like I said, they were not difficult. They had been to the dentist regularly, they didn't have a lot of buildup on their teeth, and the appointments just went by really fast. So I think for one patient, I ended up doing a full mouth and an entire patient sequence all in 3 hours or 4 hours. But that's just how like quickly you begin to learn stuff and how quickly the sequence begins to go for you. I know for second year, I think you need to have maybe 16 patients your first semester and then like 26 or something your second semester. So it definitely goes up, and but like the sequence is a lot quicker. Like you need to learn how to do stuff a lot quicker, and you see multiple patients throughout the day. So like Monday, my schedule will be 8 to 5 all day in clinic, like you would be at a normal office job, and you're seeing maybe 3 patients during that time. So definitely a lot quicker paced, and I'm very nervous about it, but I know it's gonna be okay. I'm nervous about finding patients. That's like the hardest part I'm most nervous about, because I just know it's gonna be like awful trying to find patients. You have to have more x-ray requirements, and I know you need to do maybe like 4 sealant requirements on patients, and that will be up to the doctor to determine if they are eligible to get a sealant. Then we also will learn the ultrasonic scaler, and that's just like the water pick type thing that takes off the calculus that a lot of people hate when they go to the dentist. Then we will learn local anesthetics. That's our first semester. That's a Friday class, which I'm not excited for at all. 3-hour Friday class, not looking forward to. Most people during the second semester also end up getting loops, which I will probably do, and it's just like the little things at dentists where it's like the magnifiers, so you can see super close up, and it also keeps your posture up really well so your back doesn't hurt. The last thing that we will obviously have is the boards, and I think you start board review in like January. So yeah, it's gonna be very stressful. I'm really nervous, but I was nervous for this past year and it went just fine, so I know it's gonna be fine. It's just a lot when you think about it. But with that being said, I'm gonna move on to questions now. So I asked you guys on Instagram and YouTube, so I'm gonna answer the YouTube one first because I only got 1 question. What the heck, guys? Oh my gosh, you guys. I just found out that the Johnny Depp verdict is coming out at 3 p.m. today, and it's 2:10 right now, and I'm really nervous. I'm gonna finish filming this video. Okay, anyways. So the first question, there's quite a few questions in here. How did you find patients for clinical requirements? It was really hard, but I think the first patient I had was Cameron, and then my sister, and then my mom came in, and then I just had friends from, you know, school, from volleyball. It's really hard, but you just have to ask like literally anyone. Just be like, hey, I need you to come in, or are you willing to come in? I really need a patient. And most people are willing to come in. It's just like a lot of paperwork that you have to fill out, and they have to fill out like all this medical history. You have to make an appointment with the front desk. We had like a front desk in our clinic, so we had to make sure to give all the information to them really early, because if you didn't do it early, they would get upset, which is understandable. I mean, it's like a normal office. You need to know early so they can make the file and everything. You kind of just go day by day. Like there were days where my patient would cancel and I would have to find someone super last minute, or I just wouldn't have a patient for that day, which you do get marked down for that. I mean, you just gotta do what you gotta do, and it's difficult, but your instructors will understand, and sometimes the front desk does find patients for you, because there are patients that come in regularly because it's a lot cheaper. And also something that's really nice is that if you have certain requirements, like people in your program might have like an extra patient, or you know, they're able to fill your chair for you, which is also like, it's very helpful, and your professor is also there to help you, and like it's not terrible. Like they're not gonna fail you, and everyone's there in it together. And like if you have a, like I had a certain requirement, I needed a level 2-3 calc, which is like a little bit thicker of calculus or tartar on their teeth, and I didn't have that in any of my patients, so we were able to like swap patients. Like you would go sit in your classmate's chair and just scale off some calculus, and like everyone is there to help each other, and it was a really good environment. At my school, you're gonna meet your requirements even if it takes you all the way to the last day to do so. Like everyone there is super helpful. What has been the hardest part / class so far? definitely finding patients is the hardest part, hands down. And the hardest class, like I said, was oral science. It's hard. Are you planning on staying in Michigan after you graduate? Yes. My boyfriend, he is in the criminal justice program at the same school as me. We're gonna graduate at the same time, and we're planning to move back closer to my hometown and find somewhere over there to live. We're both from the same area, so we're just gonna find somewhere over there. How do you manage to stay financially stable while in school / do you work right now? So yes, I was able to save up a ton of money over the past summer because I had 2 jobs, and it's helped me pay for this apartment. And then in January, I ended up getting a job here, and I had a job, I still have the same job. I just saved up a lot of money throughout the past summer, and I was able to kind of live off that and not have a job for a few months. But then I needed to get a job again, so yeah. Now I'm gonna go on to Instagram. Okay, someone in my program said, did you ever consider dropping out? I sure did, lol. Yes, definitely. After, I think the first semester, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not for me. And it was just something that I was like super down and upset about everything, and finding patients was just really stressful. And there are times where you go throughout it that you're not going to want to do it, at least, you know, for me, and a lot of people in my program I know felt the same way. But you just have to lift each other up and tell each other it's gonna be okay, we're gonna make it through. Yeah, there were times that I wanted to completely switch my major and do something else, but I know that I had worked so hard to get to where I am, and just getting into the program itself was like not easy, and I knew I couldn't just like throw that all away. So I just have to finish it. I don't know, I love doing it when I'm doing it, but when I'm like thinking about it, sometimes it just seems like very overwhelming and very stressful. But I know that's just because right now I have to find my own patients, and when I get into a regular practice or clinic, they're gonna fill the patients for me, so it's not something that I have to be super stressed out about throughout my whole career. It's just like telling yourself that and talking yourself out of dropping out, even though it was never really something that I was going to do, but I did think about it. What was your favorite class? Like I said, it was definitely a dental materials. That one was like super fun, and the instructor was literally amazing. I loved her so much. Where do you get your scrubs from? I think I got mine from Wonder Wink, which they were a little bit more pricey, but they're like really good quality. They've never like ripped or anything, so I love them. I'm definitely gonna buy some more because now that we can have colorful colors because we got a new instructor. How do you study / how many hours? I did make a video on how I study, but like I said, I just reread the book and go over the PowerPoints, make my own notes. Yeah, I probably did it, I don't know, like 2 to 3 hours every night. Definitely not every night, but like for most nights when we had an exam or something like that, I would definitely be studying. What was the most challenging part? So aside of getting patients, I feel like I've talked about that so much, but I think the most challenging part was probably, at least maybe not the most, but one of the most challenging parts was when you know that you learned something in class, or you know that you should know something and you don't know it, and your instructor kind of makes you feel dumb about it. Like that was really defeating. And although I know they're there to help you, and I know that they can get annoyed sometimes, it's just as really defeating. It was really defeating when they made you feel like you were not knowledgeable about it. And I don't know, that was just really hard to get through, I guess, especially in clinic. Like, you know that you know it, but once you actually see it, it's like, oh my god, I don't know what this is. I don't know how to explain it. It just made you feel dumb sometimes, and you know you're not dumb. You've worked so hard to get here. Yeah, that was kind of challenging to experience. That is all the questions that I'm going to be answering for this video, and that is going to be the end of this video. So thank you guys so much for sticking around. I know this was a really long one, but I thought it would help some of you who may be going into the program or just wanted to hear how my experience went. It was definitely worth it, and I'm very happy that, you know, I had so many amazing people around me that pushed me and kept me going, because just having those people there for you, having a good support system is really helpful. And just even turning to your classmates during tough times is really nice, because you're all going through the same thing and you know that they're going to relate to you. I'm glad that I was able to push through, and I'm really nervous for next semester, but it's only one more year, and the hardest part is going to be finding patients, and it's only temporary, so hopefully it all goes well, and good luck to any of you guys who are going into your first year or are currently in the program. We're all in this together, and if you ever need anything or have any questions, definitely comment down below or DM me. Like, I am always willing to answer any questions or just talk you through it and help you, because we all need that support. So thank you guys so much for watching, and definitely be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.